Hello, my name is Dr. Sebastian Mahfood. I'm Director of Distance Learning at Holy Apostles College and Seminary in Cromwell, Connecticut. This presentation, entitled Implementing Your MOOC, is intended to highlight the fundamentals of actually running a MOOC from the day it opens to the day it closes, including methods of engagement, of ensuring retention, of tracking student progress, of identifying and addressing trouble areas, and other things. Let's say that you've built your MOOC and are ready to implement it. In a small college setting, you may receive anywhere from 1 to several dozen students in your MOOC. We'll talk about how to get those numbers in next week's discussion on marketing. So you'll want to find a way to work meaningfully with those who sign up in earnest, lest they fall away due to inattention. The first and easiest way to do that is to immediately seek a relationship with the students. This can be done in any number of ways, but the core principle of relationship should be at the forefront of all work you do within the class. This principle of relationship emanates, incidentally, from you as the MOOC facilitator to your students as the MOOC participants. You want to develop methods through which students may form relationships with one another, and these methods should be intentional in their implementation. They don't necessarily have to be grand projects. A discussion board may be all that's needed. For particular projects, group formation may be necessary, and students might best be grouped by the interests they've identified in their project proposals. The best groups, after all, form themselves, but they won't do it without direction from their MOOC leader. There are many reasons why persons who sign up for MOOCs never finish. Isaac Sweeney, writing in the Chronicle of Higher Education, listed several, namely technology, time, lack of financial investment, and lack of personal investment. Let's talk about just these. Concerning technology, you want to keep whatever you create as a tool within your MOOC simple on the user end. A colleague of mine once posted in his learning management system an Adobe Presenter video every week, each of which was 178 megabytes large. The cloistered nun with a slow internet connection wasn't even in the ballpark of connection speed to download something like that, when a 4 megabyte file usually took her 45 minutes to download. A solution is to upload videos to YouTube so that YouTube's compression engine can play them even for slow connections. If you are posting documents, always turn them into PDFs first, since those are universally accessible. A colleague once posted all his files as Word docx files, and students who didn't have Word 2007 or higher had to be creative on their end concerning how they were going to access those. A PDF file also makes large PowerPoints quite small. A student once sent me a 64 megabyte PowerPoint that had to first be uploaded to Dropbox in order to make it to me. I clicked File, Save as PDF, and instantly had it down to half a megabyte. All the weight was in her photos. In short, it may take you more time to create a thing on the back end, but you'll save an exponential amount of time on the front end if you don't have to respond to a lot of student requests for help. This leads into the second point, to keep the time commitment to a minimum. People will sign up for semester-long MOOCs thinking at the time they register that they can commit for that long, only to drop out in week 4 or 5 because other life events have caught up with them. It's best to keep any MOOC under 6 weeks. That enables those who reach week 5 to see the finish line just ahead of them, and it provides sufficient time for an actual project or activity to be accomplished in a group setting. MOOCs can last as little as a few days, in which case I think the more proper name is MOOCinar, and you're better off trying to engage the participants not around a collaborative activity, but around an event, like a webinar that's preceded and followed by discussion and sharing of materials. Within the inclusive dates of the MOOC, do something meaningful in as little time as it takes to get it done. Any MOOC that takes up to more than 10 hours a week is not going to be attractive to people. MOOCs that take between 5 and 10 hours a week are going to see greater retention than those that take more than 10. The average MOOC student is gung-ho at registration, but finds his or her time constrained by other commitments over the course of a MOOC session. You might even include a truth and time commitment statement, placing on the syllabus the average number of hours it will take for the average person to complete the MOOC. Concerning cost, MOOCs are free, so people easily sign up for them and just as easily set them aside. The bottom line for assessment, that is educators, we show what we value by what we measure, is also at play here. As consumers of anything, we show what we value by how much we are willing to invest in it. In the case of the MOOCs, a way to ensure student investment is to have the student buy a book. It doesn't have to be an expensive book, but it does have to be an expense. Anyone who goes to Amazon to order even a $10 book is going to have an immediate reminder of his or her registration within a few days when that book arrives. If the book is an easy-to-read thing that actually advances the person's special interest, in other words, the reason why the person signed up for your MOOC in the first place, then he or she might even have the book read before the MOOC begins. You can also supplement the course with a lot of free readings collected by you from various relevant places on the internet. I teach an Arabic philosophy course, for instance, and am amazed that one can download the First Philosophy of Al-Kindi and The Incoherence of the Philosophers by Al-Ghazali for free. What cost money is the Cambridge Companion book. They buy the secondary resource, and they get the primary resources for free. Finally, we have to target the student's personal reasons for signing up for the course. A person signs up for a MOOC on MOOC design, for instance, in order to actually design and implement a MOOC to achieve a particular life or professional goal. If we can give them that, we'll have less trouble with retention than if we simply talk to them about what it would be like for them to design and implement a MOOC. In short, a MOOC participant is going to have all kinds of reasons to procrastinate or allow him or herself to be drawn away from the MOOC you're providing. If you can make your MOOC a tool in that person's real-world experiences, you'll keep that person involved until the MOOC project or activity comes to completion. Our ability to track student progress flows from the first two things we discussed, namely, our pursuing a relationship with our MOOC participants and our keeping that relationship simple in our participation within it. This is what I call the nuptial meaning of the MOOC body. If we pursue just these two things, our work in keeping track of student progress becomes simpler. There are a few things I do as a MOOC facilitator, namely, I engage in the discussion board, so I know who is and who isn't posting. I periodically check in on student project development and add a comment so the student knows I was there. And I offer short quizzes to see who's keeping up with the readings and how well. Other ways to track student progress are to require them to post progress reports every so often on the work they're doing in their MOOC activity. These can be reflective since the MOOC activity is already going to be visibly present within the group. They can also check things off in a task list as they complete them, so that you can see where they are in any given task. You can have them create such task lists, or you can create them for the students. The former is preferable for activities they themselves are designing for the MOOC, and the latter on activities you require be done during their time in the MOOC. The trouble areas that may arise in any online course are also those that arise in a MOOC, and these are namely student issue management and technical environment management. Concerning student issue management, a student may act out on the discussion board if he or she perceives that concerns are not being addressed. Some students have too much identity bound up in their work and become easily upset by constructive criticism. Some students may engage fully in some areas of the MOOC, like the discussion board, but not in other areas, like the course activities, and vice versa. The facilitator's role is to address all of these things in a way that's best for the learning community. A couple of rules that come immediately to me are, 1, to always work with student issues outside the public forum, even if they seek to bring them into the public forum, and 2, to allow the person with the issue to come up with a reasonable solution to it, as people are more likely to follow through on reasonable solutions they choose than unreasonable solutions imposed upon them. There's room for discussion on other rules that have worked well for you in the student issues management of your own online teaching and learning environments. Concerning management of the technical environment, there are a couple of unforgivables as far as students are concerned. The first is a broken link, and the second is an inaccessible file. On the day you prepare a new section of your MOOC, all your links will work and all your files will open. There are 2 reasons for this. 1, you just ensured that the link was working before you posted it. And 2, you are in the Faculty View section of your MOOC. On the very next day, you may find that a link you wanted to share was taken down the night before, and you may find that you forgot to click Publish on a file that you can view perfectly well when you're logged in as the instructor, but that you cannot view at all when you're logged in as a student. For that reason alone, you should have a student account. what I like to call a roaming avatar on the learning management system. You simply enroll your student account name in your own MOOC, and that way you can log in whenever you like as a student to check through all the links and files that should be visible. If you can do everything that needs to be done when logged in as a student, then your students will also be able to. You will come up with other questions as you implement your MOOC, and the reason is that you'll have live participants within it who will constantly be interacting with one another, with you, and with the materials you have provided. This dynamic is going to bring up issues that we haven't explored here, and it's okay for you to learn as you go how to make for yourself and your students the best MOOC experience ever. At the end of this series of modules, you'll have developed your own MOOC on Advanced 360. In the process, you'll also learn how to be a facilitator within it and ensure that it has participants when the time comes to launch it. Looking forward to meeting you again on the discussion board.